It's Dave Walker. I'm here to talk about this week's topic. Good friend of mine, Spencer Charles, is an NFL agent, and we're going to talk about owning the NFL agency and what has that done to pivot. What has he done to pivot in this environment, given what's happening in NFL and also with the pandemic? Love both places. Where are you originally from?
Long story. I'm originally a military kid from a town nobody's ever heard of called Utah, Alabama. That's with an E. But I was raised in Southern California. My mom proudly was in the United States Navy. She wanted me to get out and experience the world. Had I not had that experience of a military parent and seeing the world, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at today. Most importantly, as a man of God, a family man, and then a sports agent third. But long answer, originally from Alabama, but grew up middle school, high school in Southern California.
Okay. I mean, I think bouncing around, what do you think is the biggest trait that you have picked up as you bounced around from area to area?
I'll say two things, or the biggest thing I would say is adaptability, and then understanding and accepting other cultures, which is paramount in any business, right? Because nowadays, with everything going on in society with the equality and inclusive-based environments, we work with all different types of people, all different types of backgrounds. So especially growing up as like a military kid, I went through 4 different high schools in 4 years. 3 of those were in Southern California. So always met different people, different backgrounds, and then I always kind of had to adapt and then be open to different cultures. So I'll say being a sports agent, the number one attribute I probably have is you get all different types of players. Now, majority of players in the National Football League are minorities, but then you get some. There's a kid at Ole Miss I talked to, and I can care less you're green, brown, or orange, right? But there's a big white kid from Ole Miss, parents still own a plantation. So actually going down to like Oxford, Mississippi last year, in that background, those dynamics, and having that, background traveling around and some of the points I touched on, it serves me well. So just adaptability and being open to other cultures is like paramount. I think any entrepreneur, you have to have that mindset where you can accept and understand different markets, just different customer segments and things like that, so you can better serve, your clientele base and the products you provide.
Did you just say you was recruiting a slave owner from Mississippi?
Yeah. Something like that.
Wow. I mean, talking about taking you to the ends of the earth. Who knows where this job will take you?
Yeah, it was interesting because, to be candid here, we use social media a lot. And I would say with business in the 21st century, social media, if you don't have, and I'll get to my story in a little bit here, but if you don't have a huge network when you start your business, social media is kind of like that conduit. It's the super highway, right? So this kid from Ole Miss, big, white, 6'7", 330-pound guy, kind of reached out and said, "Hey, I'm Spencer, my agent. Can we chat sometime?" And he actually responded back. I was like, whoa. Because here again, his background says, I don't know if I'm really going to connect with an African-American guy, but, I leverage just those experiences I have, being accepting of the cultures, living in different environments, that serves me well personally, professionally. And I would say with any entrepreneur, being able to connect with anyone, understand, or, just being accepting.
Right. Well, one of the things we start to talk about when we get into the business owner mentality and the business owner mindset is sort of how you convert your talents that you have and say, hey, I can connect with people into actual money, right? And so in your case, you actually said, okay, I have this talent and I think I can connect and make it into money and have a business. When did you know, or what was the kind of things that made you feel like I can actually make money off of this talent? And why'd you choose to be an NFL agent when you did that?
Okay. I guess it actually took me a while. I actually love my story because I kind of had a non-traditional path. I didn't go to college right out of high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do. When I was in high school playing football, I was like, oh, I want to be a sports agent, but I had no idea what that really was or really took, right? But long story short, I got an internship with Jermaine and Pre and Social Death back in the early 2000s, dating myself a little bit. And I pretty much started off as a roadie. And then I was on the street team. But I kind of got to see the entertainment business. And then I kind of got to see how I traveled a lot. We were on different radio stations and things like that. And I started to see, wow, I have this ability to connect with people. And then I kind of got a taste of entertainment business. I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. But then Jermaine Dupri with Social Def, the label folded. And then I went and did the same thing at Bad Boy. That folded. And then I got into the last point is kind of what cemented it or solidified it for me was I worked in staffing. So staffing, trying to fill retail jobs. I'm calling, trying to sell somebody a retail job to say, hey, go to Walmart and sell cable to somebody. And they're not gonna be there to talk to you about cable. They're there to buy some dog food.
Right.
Having that sales ability. So I took those experiences and said, wow, being a military kid, can adapt to any background, any personality type, working in the entertainment business, and kind of saying, I had, innate ability to connect with people. And then I was kind of very fast in the entertainment business. And then kind of working in sales and recruiting, that sales piece, kind of putting it all together. It's like, wow, I think I have a great relationship management skill set. And by no means, do I think I'm better than anybody, anything like that. But just a great connector. Like my strengths, I took Berkman's assessment, for those who know what that is. Strong ability to engage and inspire. And then I have a business background and, with some sales skills. So I was like, wow, I think I really could do this thing. And I'll kind of pause right there, dude.
No, it's good because I think that you tapped into like what was your core set, but man, you did not just go out and sell appliances at Best Buy. I mean, you went in and you said, I'm going to go compete at the highest level for, sales jobs on NFL players and not just players, by the way. I mean, talk about, you picked a profession where it's highly result oriented and it's out there that everybody's trying to get your client and you're trying to get other guys. So how do you separate that and how did you compete on that level when it came to getting in front of players and talking to people?
Well, the biggest thing, and we just had a call yesterday, I think a couple of folks from my marketing team is on, but we're talking to a guy that played at Ole Miss. And the biggest thing I told him, and the kid has a son. So I said, our brand is family. Because here again, and some of my team members on those, all agents, I'm just can't say the same shit. We're going to get you most money, we're going to get you endorsements. But at the end of the day, if you get hurt, they're still going to be trying to help you with your post-career, right? The guy, kid from Ole Miss, he has a son. So he said, my son is my biggest thing. And my thing is what can we do to position yourself long-term once football is over to make sure you still can provide for your son? How do we set you up for success? And I always tell our guys is, hey, if you call us at 2 o'clock in the morning, you got an incident, as the kids say, we're going to pull up and be there for you. Doesn't mean we're always going to tell you what you want to hear or, we're always going to kind of just rub you on the back or brush it under the table. But family is like paramount because at the end of the day, to be successful in this business and what differentiates me, my team, and my agency, we're all servants. You have to have a servanthood mentality, especially I would say in any business for the most part. If it's a service-oriented business, you have to have a servanthood mentality. No different in the restaurant industry. Somebody gives you good service, you usually give a good tip. So my biggest thing is we sell servanthood, we're genuine and authentic, and we're actually a family. Those are big things to me. Because in the agent business, everybody sells the same shit. The players want to hear about what can you do for me? Can you give me team endorsements? But at the end of the day, do you know I got your back 24/7, 365?
Yeah, that's one of the things that astonished me is the large percentage of players that are with a small number of firms. And I just thought, man, I've seen people like you work very, very hard with a small group of people. And I've seen people with a large group of players not work very hard at all. And in fact, almost is selective. And the not understanding that having that agent that's really going to focus in on you and not give you a number or an account statement and say, hey, your number so-and-so, you put in your PIN and you call them. It's just unbelievable how they flash things in front of them. Let's talk about the money part of it, right? Because everybody wants to be an agent. Everybody says, hey, listen, I got style, charisma. I got more style than Spencer here. I'm going to go out and I'm going to become an agent. What did you have to do for you to wait? First of all, what sets you apart from the average Joe in terms of your status as an agent? And then what did you have to do to get that status?
I would say work ethic, and I'll kind of share my background quickly. I shared kind of my bio, but in the NFL business, what people really don't understand, because I get young college students that DM me because they can relate. I'm not a top agency yet. Let me say that, but we're climbing and coming fast. But it's like, hey, you look young and you're on Instagram. I feel like I reach out and touch you. How can I get in this business, or can I read a book? So the biggest thing is, this is not something you can do part-time on the side of your table. This is something you may not make any money for 3 years. So my point is, you have to have a passion for this business or you will drown. That's just the bottom line. Because the agent business is, if a kid calls you at 3 o'clock in the morning, you got to take a call. And if a college recruit calls you at 2 o'clock in the morning and says, hey, I'm in Atlanta, Hartsville Jackson, I got a layover. Can you come see me for 30 minutes? Are you going to get out the bed? And then, so the biggest thing is, you have to have that work ethic and a passion for it. And the third thing I'll say is, you have to have a diverse skill set. David, I've worked in the IT world as an IT program manager consultant. So the thing about, I have a discipline project management, one fold is, when you're a small company, right, you kind of have to wear a lot of hats. I'm the director of finance. I contract out marketing, but I do some marketing stuff. I do business operations. I do strategic planning and road mapping. Because the thing about players at the end of the day, when they say, hey, can you give me an endorsement deal? And I first did my first endorsement deal with my guy with the Chiefs, with Nike. I was like, yeah, lying through my teeth, scared as hell, but I wouldn't figure it out. So I said, so you have to have a diverse skill set. But kind of going back to getting in this business, you have to have a passion for it, and you have to have a strong work ethic. Like, that's, and I'll give a couple stats. When I took my exam in 2017, roughly about 300 candidates took the info agent.
Let's talk about that, because that's what I meant when I said what made you, is you had taken an exam. We took an exam to become an agent. So you had to have some qualifications to even sit for the exam.
Correct.
Right? What are some of those? Like, you have to have a graduate degree. Or you got to have about $2,500 to, don't get it twisted. It's not a free exam. They don't just post it on the website and download it. So, and then you sit for the exam, and then what happens?
It's about 300 of us, including people like Dave. So 300 people sit for the exam. You have to have your MBA or your master's degree, right? And then the thing about it is, these are not like people right at college. You got people 30s, 40s, 50s, always want to be agent. It's a 3-hour exam. I want to say it's probably somewhere around 75 questions or so. It's a lot of finance, legal terminology, sports stuff, right? And then the exam only has a 35% passes rate. And then if you don't pass, you can come back and take it a second year. Just to sit for the exam is $2,500. To truly study for the exam, you can probably do it in 3 months. I would say smart people do it in 6 months, because you're going to bullshit probably the first 2 months, and then, and so forth. But then when you pass, it's like, okay, I'm an agent, great. Go out with your wife, celebrate, and it's like, I don't have any clients. I don't have any clients, right? Well, what does it take to get clients? You got to have notoriety. You got to have connection with NFL teams. And then there's this thing, I've talked to Dave Walker about different conversations about raising capital. It costs money to sign players. And David, I'll pause. We can get into how much it costs to sign players, but that's the biggest barrier to entry is it costs a shitload of money. What they don't tell you when you watch Jerry Maguire or you go on the NFL or NBA's website and say, I want to be a sports agent, it's like, oh, I'm going to take the exam and I'm going to go get players. Don't work like that.
Well, let's talk about the money, because we do believe in the process called revenue. And we believe in the business owner mentality is, revenue generates, money to fix all problems. So when people say you got to spend money, they think like, well, you buying bottle service at the bar. How hard is that? When you talk about spending money on the player before the player essentially pays you and they make an NFL team, one is talk about how much money typically does it take, and then 2, what do you spend that money on?
So there's tiers to it, right? With players, when you're a rookie, I'm gonna take it from a rookie agent perspective till you become a veteran. So your first year, you're not signing anybody for the most part. You may get lucky, get somebody on the practice squad or a tryout, but for the most part, you're not getting anybody. But let's just say you get a tryout guy, right? Guy played at I think most services in the South. Guy played at Troy or Florida A&M or something, right? that guy's gonna cost you about $5,000 to $10,000. Let me back up though. So you take your exam, you spend $2,500, right? Then there's something the NFL says, hey, you have to have liability insurance in case somebody wants to sue you for negligence. Well, there's this company we want you to pay $1,500 for insurance, and then so now I'm about $4,000 in the hole before I sign any player. Then, so the NFL mandates that any state that you want to sign a college athlete to be a pro player, you have to go get registered in the state and get a license like a contractor. So those licenses could be another $500 to $1,000. And then I would say, like with Georgia and Texas, to get a license, you have to get bonded. So I think one of my bonds is like $1 million bond, and I got to pay a percent. I'm not paying nowhere near $1 million, but I got to probably pay somewhere around 5% of $1 million bond. So all in, before you get your license, before you even get a player, you spend about $5,000 to $10,000 just on administrative stuff, right? Okay. So administrative. Now you got your travel. Before I can even get Mr. Florida A&M or Georgia Southern player, I got to burn gas up and maybe hop on a plane or two. I'm a small agent, so I'm not going to travel to California. But I'll probably spend another $2,000 on travel. It's about $7,000 a whole. Now, when I meet these players, what all kids want, they want you to wine them and dine them. No different than dating and courting a lady that you're attracted to, or for ladies,
right,
a gentleman you want to take care of. So entertainment, you're about $10,000 in the hole. I hadn't even signed anybody yet. So I finally get this guy. I take his parents out, Georgia Southern, take him out to a dinner, pick up the check, $300. It's like, okay, what do you want? Oh, well, I want you to pay for my training. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. And then I need a stipend. I want to rent a car. You're not getting a rented car because you're not going in the first round.
Why would a player, and remember too, this is all happening after their eligibility is over, right? So
that's correct. Their senior year in college.
This is after it's over.
Correct.
Why would a player who's at a big school need any training? Tell me what.
Well, at a small school, so at a big school, all guys need training, which is a little bit of BS. But for those who watch on ESPN, like leading up to the NFL draft, these guys go train at these big gyms, right, and do all this run and jump around. Because everybody at the NFL Combine, they want to run a fast 40 time. They want to run 40 yards in under like 4.5 seconds. If you're a big guy, you want to bench. So these training facilities say, come train and have your agents pay, and we'll get you ready for the NFL draft. So that way teams see your stock higher, and we'll draft you and get more money. So a training for a small round guy, like the back end of the draft, somebody you never heard of, you're talking probably about $5,000 to $10,000, right? Somebody like Trevor at Clemson, the quarterback's gonna be the first pick next year, or Justin Fields, training alone is gonna run you about $30,000. But all in the sign, and I'm gonna try to put a nice bonus. Training to get a guy from January to the NFL draft for like somebody like Trevor Lawrence is gonna cost you anywhere from about $100,000 to about $250,000. Right now, a small school guy from your small hometown that makes NFL that maybe played at like Southern or Grambling probably cost you about $10,000. So when you're a rookie in this business, you don't have that type of capital. And the thing I found out, David, we've had these conversations. I didn't even know you needed money to be agent. I just thought I got my license. I'm a guy. I got a personality. You won't sign with me. Well, that's great. But I got Dave Walker over here saying he's going to pay for my training and he's going to rent me a Bentley. How am I going to get the money? Why is somebody going to give me money? I'm not Drew Rosenhaus or Jimmy Sexton. I'm not CA. I'm not Octagon. Why is somebody going to invest in me? I have no players. I have no business. I have no website. I have no business structure. So that's kind of like rookie being an NFL agent is they don't tell you that stuff in Jim McGuire about how much money it takes to sign a guy. It's all about brand. It's all about perception and things like that. So it's and that's why a lot of people don't make it. I think the attrition rate is around like 50-60% of first year agents because I didn't know it costs a lot of money. And another thing about the last thing I'll say is you kind of got to be twofold with your skill set. You have to be personable, right? And this is for, I don't want to just make this about sports. You have to be personable. You have to be able to relate to players or your customer base, right? But then also you have to have the business intellect. Here again, when you're a rookie agent, you are the director of finance, you're the accountant, you're the marketing department, you're the contract negotiator with NFL teams. You are the sales rep because I have to basically, when you have a guy who is not from a big school, I'm calling around basically begging and trying to find any reason to sell. This guy is the world's greatest receiver. He can catch a ball with one hand. You're making shit up. So you have to have a dual skill set. And I think that's important in the business world now especially with being a small-minded business kind of entrepreneur. Not saying you don't want to grow, but if you can't do a lot of different things, you're going to spend a lot of capital on paying vendors and contractors versus trying to keep it in the house. So that's why I would say when you start a business, you need to make sure you have plans and have a diverse skill set. If not, you're going to be spending a lot of money and then your margins are going to be upside down.
So
Well,
and Spencer, we have a question in the chat room, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Someone said that they heard it could be roughly, Rodney said that he heard that it could be roughly $7,000 a month for those agents managing players that may opt out this year.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. And I'll be candid. David is a consultant of mine. Like I said, it takes a team. So let me start with the base. This is what they mean opt out, right? Everybody knows we're in the COVID environment, and some college football teams have canceled their seasons, right? Others like the SEC, let's just keep it in Georgia Bulldogs. They're still planning to play football. But some guys who are first round picks are saying, I don't want to play with Corona out there, so I'm not going to play. I'm just going to head opt out or not play this year, participate and play football. I'm going to go sign an agent. And what's going to happen is the agent's basically going to take care of a 22-year-old grown man starting now in August or September through May. So 9 months of training expenses, rent a car, hotel, marketing money, travel money, baby mama money, side piece money. 7,000 is just, but so that 7,000 number is just very arbitrary. It's subjective. It depends on the type of player. I'll say that. If I got a guy from Georgia Southern or Valdosta State, no offense, you're not opted out and you're not getting 7,000. You might get $50 a month for me, and I'll get you LA Fitness training. If I was fortunate enough for somebody like Justin Fields is basically gonna get a black card treatment. He's probably gonna get 10 grand a month because in the day, somebody like a top round guy to put a monetary ROI on it, Justin Fields all in from an agency perspective, you probably gonna make anywhere from about $500,000 to $750K off of him just from his rookie deal and his marketing endorsements. So with Justin Fields, if I spend, let's just say 10 grand a month for 7 months, that's 70,000, and I made 700,000. You know, we're talking about a 400 to 500K profit margin. Small school guys, it's not so much. But the problem is these big school guys are really leveraging, hey, Corona, I want to play. So an agent can take care of a grown man starting in September till May. Usually guys play the season and we only take care of them from January to May. So, but the budget is kind of being, you know, elongated because guys don't want to play, knowing they're top guys. I want to start getting money now.
Well, that's a lot. That's a lot of money for Justin Fields. So I imagine people are lining up to sign him. But let's talk about the money that the agent get and when you get the money. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about, you know, how the agent gets paid off the player and his contract and when they get their money. So talk about that. So now I've invested $100,000, not into Justin Fields, into Quiddy Pay. somebody from Michigan. But anyway, the person's exhausted their eligibility. And let's make it a regular year, not a coronavirus year, right? And I pick him up in December, and I wine and dine his family, and I get him into a training session, and he gets to, and I get to April before the draft, and I've spent, I say, $100,000 on this player. When am I going to actually see some money on draft night? Am I going to get that money on draft night? When do I get some money?
Okay. So I'll try to be concise here. So you put the money up, and so we can take care of, let's say Tom Brady. Tom Brady's coming out this year out of Michigan, and we wine and dine him. We signed him in January, right? Dave Walker puts the money up. He's the capital supporter of my sports agency. He puts up $100 grand. So Tom Brady goes and trains in January, NFL Combine in February, and then draft nights in May, right? With the first pick in the NFL draft, New England Patriots take Tom Brady. We'll pretend it's 2021, right? So what does that really mean, right? So he gets drafted. He signs his contract sometime between May and June if they don't hold out. We'll just say May and June, right? So there's three components of NFL contract. There's a signing bonus, there's a base salary, and then there's like performance incentives, right? So the number one thing in the NFL, the only thing that people care about is the signing bonus. And then, wrong finger. But with the signing bonus, why it's paramount, right? It's the only thing that's fully guaranteed. Because if you get hurt in the NFL, they can get rid of your base salary. If they cut you and say, we don't want you anymore, Tom Brady, that base salary is gone. You're not getting any of that money. Performance incentives, you're not getting any money. So the only thing that is fully guaranteed, and the only thing that investors should care about is the signing bonus. Because the minute Tom Brady's name is called in that draft, I just make up arbitrary. He gets $50 million. His signing, you hear these big numbers, he got $50 million guaranteed. Guaranteed means signing bonus. So when he got drafted, the lawyers get in the room, people like Dave Walker and the agent, we negotiate with the team. It's May 15th, we sign a contract. The investor, the sports agency, get that money as soon as it clears direct deposit.
How much do they get?
So an agent gets anywhere from 1.5% to 3%, right? So 1.5% to 3% is probably around $1 million or over.
Of what? Of the total value of the total contract, or what? How 3% of what?
So here's how the best way to do it is, you can say, we'll just say you get 3%, right? So I'm gonna actually put my calculator out here, but signing bonus, you get 3% of the signing bonus, you get 3% of the base salary, and then you get 3% of performance incentives. But just remember what we said: if he gets cut, you don't get the incentives, you don't get the base salary. Signing bonus is the only thing that is a lock that you get.
Okay.
So you get 3% of annually of those 3 parts of the contract, or you get 3% of each one of them. But the only thing that's fully guaranteed is the actual signing bonus. And that's why you hear a lot of guys say, I want signing bonus money, because I might get cut, I might get hurt, and I may not get my base salary incentive. So the signing bonus is the only thing that really matters.
So when they show these Pat Mahomes contracts, crazy numbers, 150 million, 300 million, they're not getting all that money up front.
No, only key thing is when y'all listen to NFL Network and ESPN is fully guaranteed. Fully guaranteed means they're going to get that money, and it's signing bonus money, and they get it the minute they sign. So I think Patrick Mahomes' signing bonus, I want to say, was around $50 million. So at 3%, his agents get $1.5 million of that. But here again, as you and I talk, Dave,
Lee Steinberg is his agent.
Yeah.
just
yeah. Yeah, but that signing bonus money, anytime, like when Patrick Mahomes, for example, when he signed his deal,
yeah,
agent got 3% right then of that total deal.
Okay.
The guarantee.
So when they sign after they get drafted in June, that's when you start to get some of your money back, if you're lucky enough.
The bulk in
that 3%, it hopefully exceeded your trading costs. Now, what happens if Tom Brady gets actually drafted in the 6th round, like he actually did? I spent $100,000 on Tom Brady and his golden boy arm and hair, and he got drafted in the 6th round. What does that mean for me as an agent?
Probably need to go talk to a bankruptcy attorney.
Wait! I don't get my $100,000 back.
No. So
what can Tom Brady expect for his signing bonus in the 6th round, and what can I expect as the agent?
So you're not getting anything back, Mr. Investor, from our sports agency. You put up $100,000, right? So Tom Brady's signing bonus in the 6th round is about $100,000. You invest
my share is 100 or his share?
No, Tom Brady's signing bonus in the 6th round is about $100,000. And Mr. Investor, you invested $100K in SC3 Sports Management. Tom Brady got $100K signing bonus. I only get 3% of $100K, right?
Right.
And you invested $100K. So you can do the math and see, I'm already upside down. Now, Tom Brady's base salary for 2021 is $610K. So I get 3% of that. I think that's about $18,000. And then let's just say he has some performance incentives. If he throws 30 touchdowns, he gets another $1 million. I get 3% of that, right? So, we're talking maybe I might be able to get you like half of your money back.
Oh man, that's tough, man.
But that's in year 1.
Yeah.
But then I get $18,000 a year for the rest of his contract duration.
So it sounds like you got to always balance your money with your prospect. If you got somebody, how do you know then? So if you have to balance your money with your prospect, you say, hey, I only want to spend 6th round money on a 6th round prospect. I got to believe every prospect you talk to think that they're a 1st round prospect. How do you determine where someone's going to rank? How do you get information about what round they're going to go in, and therefore how much money you can spend on them?
Well, the most efficient way is to develop relationships with NFL teams where you can call a scout, because a scout games to watch these guys. And that saves money. Now, that's business, always trying to figure out how I can save my OpEx, my money. So scouts, So that's the best way. But then they have scouting services, like there's something called the National and the Bledsoe Report. These are like industry scouts that are respected by the National Football League. And you can call and subscribe. I think it's like $100 a month. And they'll tell you, like, here's the top 100 guys. Here's who are the higher safe guys, the big money guys. Here are the guys, bottom guys. So you kind of look at how guys are graded, draft grades, right? And then there's a dollar amount from an investment standpoint, and then from that standpoint. So if a guy, perfect example, a guy who played at Grambling State, he's supposed to go to 7th round. His total contract value from an agent, that money we're going to make, probably $25,000. So does that mean I'm going to go turn around? SC3 Sports is going to turn around to Dave Walker Capital Investment Group and say, give me $100,000 on, I'm only going to make $25,000 for that. Not so much. So if I got a low round guy, what I try to do is figure out, dude, we're not spending $5,000 on training. You're not getting a Rolls Royce rental car. We try to lower the cost of that player so the ROI and the business model makes sense. So a lot of rookie agents don't understand though draft grades. You're just so hungry. I got to get somebody in the NFL. I wouldn't borrow all this money, but now I'm upside down in debt because I didn't understand this was a low round guy and I spent all this money. And the last thing I say is a lot of big agencies or overpay for a client just because it's good for business, for brands. So part of the problem is, as an agent, if I don't give a 7th round guy $10,000, he's not going to sign with me because I got 3 other agencies that are going to do it. So then what do? Do you still overpay the guy knowing I'm going to get myself into debt? Or do I take this guy on board to continue to build, my roster of players and build my brand?
So David, I have a question again for you. Spencer, you used a couple different terms right there, and I just want to make sure that anybody that's watching the video knows what they mean. One is OpEx, and the other one is ROI. So David, would you take a minute just to kind of give definition of what an OpEx and an ROI is?
Yeah, sure. So OpEx means your operating expenses. And so what Spencer has been talking about in his business model is that there's a cost that's built in that he has to pay for out of pocket. So sometimes like in a business, like let's say, for example, water, when I place an order for water and I have it shipped, the truckload shipped to a customer, I have the operating expense or the cost of the water. And then ultimately the customer pays me. And so in my case, the customer pays me before I have to actually spend the OpEx. So I send the water, client sends me the check, I pay for my manufacturer. So in the water business, you kind of can get paid before your money's actually due. What Spencer's saying is his OpEx has to be put up front because he doesn't get paid until July. So in his business, his operating expenses have to occur before the actual revenue comes into place. So he's talking to investors and other people and his 401k going, how much operating expense do I need to be able to fund this player through the process in terms of being drafted and or making a team? Then he has to, though, sell to the investor based upon that operating expense. What is their return on investment going to be? So, Mr. Investor, I would like $350,000. I'm going to target 6 players. We think their draft ranges from this to this. And I think that this year we can make $600,000 in revenue, and therefore your ROI or your return on investment can be double, right? So those are all things you have to kind of think about as a business owner in this industry. It's not just how much money you're going to put into somebody. It's about whether that person and their professional career has a chance of getting you back the money you invested. Because if you're an agent spending $50,000 on 6 different players every year without any of them making a team or any of them being successful, is not a smart return on investment. So it's a fine balance between money. I heard from Spencer's fine balance between money, where they're drafted, and we didn't get into this, but the type of player. Because what happens, Spencer, if people change their mind? They go, thanks for the $50,000, Spencer, I'm going somewhere else. Well, talk about that. What does that mean for you?
That's where we call somebody like Dave Walker again. You call your attorneys jokingly, but seriously too. So in the NFL contract, it states that a agent or agency is entitled to their money up until that player terminates his contract with the agency. Now you can't necessarily go to the state court in Georgia. You have to go through arbitration with the NFL. which is their lawyers, and say, hey, I had this guy, we spent 50 grand. For whatever reason, he cut bait with us. We want our money back. And then you kind of go through the arbitration process, which is probably going to take a year or 2 years to get that money back. While I still got to deal with my investors on the back end who are frustrated.
Yeah. And so let's talk about that money being back. What if that person doesn't have it? What if he didn't make the team?
Yeah, you're pretty much SOL. I mean, that's the nature of the business is, and that's the thing about being an agent. If he doesn't make the roster, yeah, I mean, that's going to be a tough conversation. You got to walk into that boardroom with wherever your capital's coming from.
Hey, David, it's Shar again. We have another question in the chat room. It says from Rodney. It says, what are some things agents invest their salary commission on to help grow their agency and their brand? And by the way, this is a good time, David, for us to acknowledge our sponsor,
yes.
Positivity Alkaline Water. So we have the best alkaline water that's provided by the Star Walker Industries. We are a bottled water manufacturing company, and the Positivity Alkaline Water has a high pH balance of 9.5. So if you guys are not familiar with Positivity Alkaline Water, I'm going to drop a link into the chat as well as onto our Facebook page, and we hope you'll go out and support us. So thank you very much for Positivity for being our brand sponsor today.
Oh, very good. See that, Spencer? Teamwork.
I love Positivity water. I need to get some more.
You got as much as you like, you, Jody, etc. But yeah, man. So now you got your money and you got your commissions. How do you increase your revenue? How do you go out and say, I'm going to make more money? I'm going to take this money. I got my money back from Tom Brady. He won some Super Bowls. And so I got my money back from Tom Brady, but now I got to spend more money. You got to go to next year, right? So where would you spend money when you get more money? Where would you spend it to try to get yourself the best players and get out in front of them? Where would I spend that money?
I'll take it from entrepreneurship. So I was a small firm. I got Tom Brady, got lucky. We got our money back. So now we're kind of a middle-sized firm, right? So it's twofold. I have to have a recruiting entertainment budget because at the end of the day, players are your pipeline, your bloodline of your business. So the bulk of that cash for things we talked about, training, travel, wining, dining, entertainment, you're going to need that money next year to do it again. So if I can keep some of my profit margin, my margin, that's less money I have to borrow from an investor now, right? So I shrink my amount of debt because now I have more of in-house capital, right? And that goes towards recruiting, training, wining, dining players for next year, right? Secondly, though, here's the biggest thing I've learned. It's an agency in New York. I don't want to mention their name, but they said, Spencer, this is my rookie year. You're not going to get rich doing contracts where you only get 3% of the NFL players' revenue every year, right? That's just a small margin you get. I think a mean average for an agent, if you make anywhere from 100 to 200K, you're doing good. But probably realistically for a small agent, you're probably gonna make about 25 grand just as a rookie agent. But the second thing is once you kind of get to that next level, with market endorsements, we hear how, perfect example, LeBron James got like $100 million shoe deal with Nike when he first got, or second contract he did, right? So what does that mean? If you do that marketing deal as the marketing agency, marketing agencies get about 15 to 20% of any marketing deal they bring in. So that $100 million example, LeBron James got $100 million shoe deal. Marketing agency, just keep math simple, is getting 20%. They're getting $20 million of that, right?
Okay.
And I talked to prospective agents, would you rather get 2 to 3% just signing contracts, or do you want that marketing money, right? So my point is, to answer the question is, once you get kind of a little more established in this business, it makes more sense to be in an inclusive sports entertainment firm, because not only we want to get 2 to 3% from negotiating your contracts and make sure you're protected, we want to do your marketing endorsements too. Because if we do your marketing endorsements, whether I have a partner who specializes in with a big marketing firm, something like that, instead of maybe getting 20%, I may just get 10% incremental revenue just off of marketing deals. Or if I do everything in-house, I'm getting another 20% off of every marketing deal I bring in. So that I would say the money goes more towards marketing, right? And then also just the recruiting budget I talked about. And then probably lastly is just working on branding, marketing in-house to kind of better position your company.
Wow, man. I think people who maybe looked at this and thought being an NFL agent is a piece of cake, it's fun, and realizing that, hey, this is a business, not the NFL is a business, because the NFL is its own separate business, but out there trying to get players and manage a business and generate revenue, it still applies even at the agent level. You know, form an LLC, get a bank account, and then in your case, you got to put a lot of money in it before you hope somebody drafts your player and they can put some in later. But you want to actually tell us a little bit about Jody. I see you got his jersey back there, and he's at the Chiefs camp. Tell us a little bit about what's happening with the players and their mentality given the pandemic and being at camp, and then tell us what we can expect from Jody this year.
So quickly, Dave knows my story, but I'll be concise. So Jody was my first NFL client. This is why this jersey. So, you know, dear to me, and I get emotional talking about it because Jody, he played about Iowa State. When you're a rookie age, you're not getting a big guy. You can just throw it out the window unless your cousin's Tom Brady or Drew Rosenhaus is your uncle. Other than that, you're not getting a big player. It's just you don't have the money, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the rep. So Jody went to a training facility in Atlanta. I said, you guys know any diamonds in the rough. I'm a rookie agent. So we got this kid named Jody. He's 6'6", 225 pounds, looks like a monster. Goes about Iowa State. I got his phone number, called his mom. Long story short, I introduced myself. It came down to Cam Newton's agent or me. And Jody chose me over Cam Newton's agent. And Cam Newton only was interested in Jody because Jody worked out with Cam Newton in the offseason, like his passing academies. But Jody said, we want to sign you because you're young and hungry. I know you're going to work your ass off for me, like endorsements, off the field stuff, contract. And I'm a faith-based guy, so that was important to them too. So I got Jody. Jody did not get drafted. But I told him, and that's the other thing in business, is setting realistic expectations with your clients, right? So I told Jody, I'm going to be honest with you, you're not getting drafted. But Jody said, I don't care what you say, Spence. I'm getting drafted. I said, Jody, I'm just going to be honest with you because I don't want this. You didn't deliver at the end of the day. So NFL draft day comes. My very first draft, my home office on a Saturday, I had my TV on, I was watching the draft. I had my phone. I had my NFL team contacts on the table, just waiting for the phone to ring. I kept looking at my phone. I picked it up. I actually called my wife. I was like, hey, I just want to call, make sure my phone was on. We get to the last round of the draft. I'm not hearing anything because here's what happens, just so people really know, give you insight in the NFL. When you get about the 5th, 6th round NFL draft, teams will call and say, hey, we're not going to draft your guy, but as soon as the draft is over, we want to bring him in as an undrafted free agent or a tryout guy. So in the 5th, 6th round, I'm not even getting, hey, I'm going to bring him in just for a tryout, or we're going to sign him as an undrafted guy. Nothing. And the thing that was very kind of confusing about it was a good agent going into the draft, you should know about 5 teams who are interested in your guy, whether it's draft him, sign him as after the draft, or just a tryout. So we had 5 teams. The Chiefs was one of them we had talked to all week long, like, we love Jody, we're going to sign him. Nothing. I called the Chiefs. I think they had blocked my number. The draft is over, and Jody had a draft party. By the way, any prospective agents out there, do not go to your player's draft party because it's going to be a shit show for you if you show up, especially if it's a guy who ain't getting drafted. But Jody had a draft party. All his family's over there, you know, pastors over. So imagine if I went over there and they're like, Spencer, Jody get drafted. What's up? His pastor calls me. Jody's crying in the background like, my life is over, man. I'm not trying to make light of it, but my life is over. I work hard. Nobody cares about me. What I'm going to do next? And, the pastor said, what's happening? I said, I just got a call. I got to go. And it was the Chiefs calling and the 49ers calling. Make a long story short, we're not going to sign him. He's not going to be an undrafted guy, but we'll bring him in for a tryout. So basically, if he does good for 3 days, we'll invite him back for training camp. Long story short, Jody never dropped the ball in training camp. I think because they keep something called like a drop chart. I think he had like 300 passes. He dropped 1 in the last practice. But we got nervous. So the last preseason game last year, Jody's up to be cut. And Jody called me for the game. He said, I'm about to ball out. He scored a touchdown. I think it had about 100 yards receiving. And he was on the practice squad all last year. And then he balled out so much that we redid his contract for a multi-million-dollar deal. Now he's running with the second receiver group. The Chiefs is going to be playing on TV, Patrick Mahomes. So,
man,
I'm an underdog. There's slum story.
That story had my heart beating.
it had mine too, because the expectation was for him to be undrafted, and we talked to teams. I did everything I could, and My client was about to be mad at me, probably was going to fire my ass, and that's probably the end of my career.
Wow.
Because in this business, here's what happens. You could tell a guy, I talk to teams, you're a 7-round picker, you ain't getting drafted, they're going to invite you for a tryout. Okay, cool, right? Then the draft comes. Right after the draft, and it doesn't happen, your family say, you suck, we're going to fire you. It's my fault. I told you before the draft what the team said. It's my fault, I suck, and you fire me. Now I got to pay you for my $5,000 back I just invested in you.
Yeah. So that, man, you make the agent game sound so unattractive.
That's why you have to be passionate. You got to be passionate for it, though. That's the thing. You have to be passionate, because the client only thinks you're a good agent if you're servicing them. Like Jody made the team. It's like Spencer, you was pounding phones, payments. I got Jody a product endorsement deal with Nike. But I did get a call. I'm going to be candid with you. Jody called me one time and said, a lot of my teammates are getting free gift boxes and packages with cookies in them and free watches. Why am I not getting that stuff? All his teammates got drafted in the 2nd and 3rd round. But his expectation was, I'm with the Chief too. I don't care if I'm a trial guy. I want a care package. Why am I not getting one? I even got calls of, why am I not getting endorsement deals? Well, it's level set. Patrick Mahomes, Tariq Hill, Travis Kelce. And I love my guy. I'll go to war for my guy, but you're on the practice squad. You want me to call Jordan and ask for a multi-million-dollar deal? But here's the problem, though. I cannot tell my client that I'm not going to go out and try to make something happen, because he's going to fire my ass. Because agents whisper sweet things in the ear like, man, he don't know what he's doing. I'm with a big agency. I'll call somebody today. So it's like, how do you navigate that? So that's kind of the life of agents. Got to kind of manage expectations. You got to problem solve. You still got to deliver. Now, I may have to extend or elongate when I deliver, but I love it, man, because it's a stressful business, and you work for the client. They can fire me, or I can fire them. And you have to prove yourself every day, because every day they're in the locker room, their teammates getting a free endorsement deal. They just redid their contract. He got a new side piece, and they're calling you. It's like, what's up, man? What's up?
Oh man, can't compete with those new side pieces, huh? listen, Jody has one heck of an agent, man.
Well, Jody don't have the problem with ladies, though. He's
no.
25, but.
No, he has one heck of an agent. He's a great character kid. I had a chance to talk to him and his mom, and that's a great family there. And I think you're a fantastic agent.